Hey, what's up, y'all? So I want to take you through a quick rundown of how I mix my song Think I Love It, which is on my new album, A Letter to You, on Instagram. Go ahead and hit the link in my bio.
Ay, yeah, yeah, oh, ay, oh, ay. I can tell this girl she really wanna fuck me, but I can't take all day. She falls in love, I'm gonna scare her.
And you go and stream the album, go ahead and save it, comment below what you think, and hey, let's get right into it, man. Give you a little bit of tips. So anytime that I am mixing, I always start off with the main vocal. Very, very important. On my main vocal, first thing, man, pitch correction. You call it auto-tune, it's pitch correction. I got it on 5. To me, 5 is going to be pretty tuned, kind of auto-tune sound. However, it's letting some of my voice through so you can actually hear my singing, right? I can sing, I sing very well. However, I like the character that auto-tune gives to my vocals. I don't need it, but I like the character that it gives. So that's exactly why we do it like this. Hey, next up, we have our EQ. Now, for my first EQ, I always will EQ first after my auto-tune. And let me tell you something. Analog EQs, man. The SSL EQ specifically, I like the sound of it the best. For my first EQ, it's just so clean. It has such a good tone and character and feeling when you EQ. I feel like it does exactly what I have in my head. And so that's exactly why I use this. And my exact settings, man, I'm going to tell you this. Use your ears. When you first hear that vocal, if you go, oh, I don't like how it sounds mid-rangey, or it sounds woofy, or it sounds too piercing, take that out. EQ it. Listen to it, narrow it into exactly what the problem is, take that away. If you feel like, oh man, I feel like not enough brightness, or I don't feel enough body, EQ it, add it, push it up. Don't be scared to add 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dB. I mean, honestly, man, sometimes that's exactly what you have to do, and if that's what you're hearing, then it's correct, right? Don't let nothing else fool you. Man, and then right after that, I use this compressor right here, the Poichild. Now, for this song, I did use the Poichild compressor. However, when it comes to what compressor you choose, you really need to know which of your compressors sound exactly how you want them to compress the audio. In this instance, I go crazy with my EQ, I make it balanced, I fix all the issues, but a lot of times I'm going, man, it sounds kind of thin, you know, it sounds like it needs some body. This compressor, it's going to compress, it does what all compressors do. However, this gives a nice low mid boost and it gives me some body. And so I usually use this as my next compressor. However, if I feel like I don't want to give that body quite yet, I'm quite satisfied with how the EQ came out, then I'll usually use my R compressor, which will pretty much, man, compress it with not adding much to it, you know. But the R compressor does do it in a type of flavor that sounds a little bit more pleasing. So one of those two. Right after that, man, I use a C6 Multiband Compressor. I use this because my EQ, my compression, gets the song sounding how I want it to. And then this, I use it like EQ, but it's dynamic, so it moves. The reason being is that your compressor is going to bring up some artifacts that, you know, you didn't really want. It's going to bring up some frequencies that you're like, ah, man, I fixed that, right? So this will knock those things down where you set it, but keep it sounding very natural and kind of bring it back to the vibe that you had created from your compressor, but without having those issues popping out. And so, man, I'll tell you what, that's powerful, man. Right after that, I use this compressor. Now, this 1176 type of compressor, the reason I use it, if you use this too early, I promise you, it's going to mess up your sound. This compressor is so grabby and it's so aggressive that if you use it too early, man, when your EQ's all over the place and your dynamics are all over the place before you've even, you know, EQ'd or compressed, you know, if you use this too early, when your frequencies balance is all over the place and your dynamics are all over the place because you haven't EQ'd or compressed yet, this is so aggressive and so grabby that it's going to make it sound bad. I use this like pretty much at the end of my chain, just about, because everything is where I need it to be, but the way that it just grabs everything and pushes it together, keeps it nice and tight, it's aggressive, so it makes it sound forward and pops out the mix. It's amazing. I use 8:1 because at this point, man, this ratio is giving me the sound I want. And my attack and release is simply just getting it to feel right and blend right through the compression, man. So it's amazing. Now, de-essers. I don't always use de-essers, but in this instance, I definitely did use a de-esser. Reason being is that I felt like on certain S's and T's and stuff, you know, 1176 is going to bring up a lot of stuff, especially your highs and your high mids. So those S's and T's pop out on specific words. That's when I use this de-esser. I don't use it early because, again, I want this thing to only work on the S's and T's, or anytime it's like, like, you know, any weird sounds like that. I only want it to grab that. So I set it to where it only attenuates on those parts. How much I have it attenuate? I set it with my eyes. I look at it and I go, okay, you know, I see the audio is moving around here, but then when you hear those S and T's, this meter jumps really hard. So I set it to where it's not affecting any of the audio at all, but then when it jumps, boom, it gets caught up. And you just balance that out. After that, man, reverb. Best reverb on the planet, Lexicon, PCM, they had reverb, amazing. Your reverb quality is going to affect how good your song is. Yeah, other reverbs can sound pretty good, but I'll tell you what, this is the best one, hands down, so always use it. Man, delay after that, delay adds a vibe. I keep it quiet in the mix, you may or may not hear it, it's a vibe. So I use this because it is less CPU heavy, but it still sounds good. There are better, you know, delays out there. Of course there's better delays out there, but man, bang for your buck, how low CPU intensive this is, plus how it sounds and like how easy it is to use, I always use this one. Man, your width, I get my width from this. You can use the S1 imager, but man, I get my width from this right here. The imager here, man, is everything. I max all this out, and then I just blend it in right here as a send, just like I did my reverb. Secret to get your width, man. And a lot of times you might even want to put an EQ right before this on the channel, right? So, you know, a lot of times you're gonna want to put an EQ right before this. Now, reason being is that low end sounds horrible when you make it wide, right? So up to like 120 or so, again, use your ears. I roll that off and then I, you know, widen it. For this song I didn't. It was perfectly fine this way, but typically that is what you want to do. And if on this song, if I would have put that EQ there before it, no harm, no foul, it would have still been good. So, and right to that, man, my last thing to make it wide, my doubler. When I open this up, I leave it on its default settings. You know, I really wouldn't mess with it too much because of the fact that, man, where it opens, like how it sounds so balanced and clean. The only thing I mess with is I always turn off this direct, right? Because you only want the wide parts. And then I mess with this right here. I leave these, like the frequencies where they're at, but I do increase this gain or lower it based on how bright I want it, you know? And when you're increasing it, when you get the right brightness and you feel that thing just pop, that's how you know you have it right. You can turn it up or down after that and blend it in, but I'm telling you, that brightness adds a pop. And then again, same thing. I blend it to taste, man. I turn it up to where like I actually hear like that brightness, like oh snap, and then I back it up to where it sounds normal again. And if you turn it on and off, you're gonna notice like, man, that made a huge difference. So my doubler, right, using my doubler plus this imager right here is gonna give you just width, man, and it's amazing. You know, they say, oh, reverb gives you width. Yeah, your reverb is gonna be wide, but you want a wide vocal. And a lot of songs, I don't want to hear the reverb very obviously either. I want a wide vocal. So that's where you're getting your width from. Reverb is a character, it's a sound. Delay, it's a character, it's a vibe, it's a sound. But your width will come from your actual width plugins. Hey man, and that's the main vocal, bro. That's most of the song, so check it out.
I think I love it. I really wish I did it, but I don't.